Hello there, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Gainy Titan. Well, finally going to give you a chance to get my first impressions of the T43. Decided to go with this since I decided I'm not doing the 416, the Object 416 line. I'm not continuing along that line any further, so I transferred the Object 416 crew to the LTG. And I decided then that I'd simultaneously run the LTG line and the T43, T44 line up that way. So I bought the T43, but I had to then wonder what crew am I going to put in. So I put the crew from the Rudy, Jan causes it, and Cesarik the dog, and they are now in this tank, is their Tech 3 tank, and well, obviously you can put them back in any premium tank for crew training. And I think they'll need a couple of extra skills before they get into the tier 8s, because they're a bit underskilled for a tier. They might get 3 skills. 3 skills and perks trained for a tier 7 tank, which I think is a bit light in the current situation when you're up against players who probably have 8, 9, 10 skills on one of their tanks. So I played pretty aggressively in this game and do quite well out of it with spotting damage. Technically assistance damage, but the bulk of it is from spotting. I don't think I track anybody in this game. So what's it like? Well, actually it's quite a lot of fun, really. It is essentially a T3485. It's pretty much the same tank, slightly more armor in front. Not a lot that you really notice the difference, and slightly more hit points. Its mobility is about the same. So against tier 9s, so it's a tier 7, 8, 9, yes, so it reaches tier 9 matchmaking, and against tier 9s it will really struggle. The lack of mobility will be noticed, and the lack of penetration of the gun, and the lack of armor as well against tier 9 tanks. But if you're a top tier, you can do very well in this tank. You do as well as you would like in a top tier T3485. Now I think the T3485 is a bit better than its contemporaries at its tier, at least in World of Tanks terms. The real world is an entirely different place. However, in my opinion, at tier 6 the T3485 is one of the better medium tanks. And this is very similar, practically identical in the way it plays, practically identical in the way it performs. So if you enjoyed the T3485, you should do well in this tank. You should do relatively well. You probably won't find it as forgiving as the T3485, but that's more down to the tiers it sees in the matchmaking, I think, than anything to do with the tank itself. Because there's not much of a change, or not a radical change with the T3485, it kind of suffers in comparison, because I think the T3485 won't meet tanks that are as difficult to deal with as some of the tanks that this thing will meet. So this thing will meet, for I said, tier 9s. And of course some tier 9 tank destroyers will practically obliterate this tank in one shot. So that's going to be a problem, and a lot of tier 9 heavies will obliterate this tank with maybe 3 shots. So you're going to have that kind of a problem. But generally, I think you'll find this relatively easy tank to if you to grind, a relatively easy tank to get used to, and the tactics are pretty conventional. So it's not like the A series, which are just very different and really require you to explore very carefully what you're doing in order to get the optimal out of those tanks. Now, how I managed to not put a round into that GW Panther, I don't know, but I didn't. And I repeat the performance with the Stuhr Emil rather, by missing bouncing shots off it as well. This wasn't my first game in this tank. I had actually some earlier games, pretty decent games. They weren't as good as this, but they were pretty decent games. However, I actually did manage to lose a big chunk of footage, about a week's, 3 days gaming, about a week's worth of World of Tanks footage by a simple screw up when I was transferring files. I'm not too sure what it was. I think the transfer hadn't completed or hadn't gone on, you know, something had happened. So it hadn't completed, and I went and just deleted the source files before accidentally cancelled the transfer and deleted the source files without realising that it hadn't deleted. So I actually lost a chunk of video, including some of the early videos for this tank. So then I had this game in it, so I thought, right, well, you'll use this one. It's a pretty decent game because I probably won't be showing a video of this tank in a while. I am going to probably play the tier 5 and tier 8 Russian premiums for a while, both to build up a silver, and but I'm using the Russian tier 5 premiums at the moment for the Soviet Dream Machine operation. I think about 160 points from the KV-220. I'm not particularly interested in anything else, but I haven't played it in 3 or 4 days now. Circumstances haven't allowed me to do so, and there's probably be time that I must spend doing stuff other than gaming in the near future. Plus I had a complete cock-up involving Neverwinter Nights gameplay recording. I'll talk about that in tomorrow's video. So you can see here now the engine has taken a hit and it is really struggling to accelerate. And that is the one thing I've noticed about this tank. The engine seems to be very prone to getting damage in a way that I haven't played yet in Soviet tanks. So this tank seems to be the one with the poor engine. The struggles there to get up to 20 kilometers an hour, and sometimes really struggles to get up. So, and it happens quite a bit. It's not just this game. Like, I've noticed you take damage to the engine and you repair it, and next thing you take more damage to the engine. Like, so the engine can get taken out very easily and very quickly in the course of the game. The game is pretty close at the moment. The enemy are capping, but we've managed to spot them in the cap circle. And I think once you're spotting that cap circle down the south, any of the cap circles, in some cases you might as well leave it, because you're going to be shooting at tanks that are hull down, which is where our guys are, and you're in an open field. You have no place to hide in either of the cap circles, and I make the mistake here of going north rather than turning around and falling back towards my teammates, especially since I have a crippled engine and I don't really have the room or the speed to shoot or to get around the side of the T-28 if it comes into the railway station area, which of course it's going to do because it knows that I'm here. And it probably hasn't spotted any of our guys, but it knows that our guys are probably coming back after it. So this part of the match I actually played quite badly. I'm increasingly running out of space to maneuver. Don't have the speed to do stuff, and I make further mistakes here because he's coming in onto the railway line. And I should have just kept going west, just not attempted to turn around and play clever around here along the railway yard. I'm very much a one-shot kill here, and I am just playing a very dangerous game. And I'm not going to get away with it, because now he's come around and I won't be able to back out in time, and I completely fluffed the tracking shot that I was trying to get off there. Just a little too panicked and just didn't take my time, didn't aim properly, and just didn't get the shot off. And I'm not sure if I would have tracked him anyway. However, it doesn't do the T-28 much good either, because he's just been taken out by one of our tanks. So that is it, game over, and we have a victory. We didn't survive though, it's the one thing I need to raise in my survival time. Nor did I get a fire for effect, but I got almost 4,000 in assistant spotted damage, and a first class mastery because of that amount of spotted damage as well. Somebody had to be shooting at the tanks I was spotting anyhow. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and a like. Really helps out the channel. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Click that subscribe button, click the notification button, watch my videos. I will catch you all again soon. Bye for now.